Croeso and welcome to Tales for Wales, the pod that never fails to be at the cutting edge of the digital world, to be the voice for the voiceless in a corporate-controlled gamescape hell, to have the courage to stand up to the big developers and say, hello, nerf the growl on COD Warzone, duh! As usual, your hosts are me, Jack, and my faithful gaming companion, Franco. And today we're delving into the gamosphere of Welsh history.
I
But
didn't like
first-
that. I didn't
Why?
like that
Why?
until you won me back round with hello when you did the classic gamer voice.
You never like my intros
I
until
know.
I go like silly at the end.
I never like it. Then I absolutely love them. It's like
I always get you back.
whenever you do them, I'm like, oh yeah. Then I go, I love it. I absolutely love it.
It's always to lull them into a false sense of security, going, "Oh, what's he doing?" And then I go, "Oh, he's being goofy. He's a little goofball."
You are a little goofball. Yeah, I'm a bit grouchy as well today. So that there.
get in early just to caveat it.
Yeah. So I think I've been grouchy since for 2 days. I said to Emma earlier, I feel like I'm on like a male period. I just I can't shake it. So
is that because you were howling on Friday?
I think so, but that was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's Tuesday now, and I played 2 games of football yesterday, and that usually resets the body. But I think I'm just sick of having to go to work. I just don't want to. It's just
I think I've pinpointed it. It's me having to bloody earn a living. That's what
someone asked me to do so I was like, oh hey, do you mind doing this? And they were tiptoeing around, just sorry to be a nuisance. And I was like, oh my god, fucking hell. But they were just asking me to do my job. And it was I just treat it, and my job's not very hard.
Oh, yeah, I hate it as well. It's I'm quite lucky in it's ebb and flow. You know, we've always said this, and especially working in marketing, whatever. So it's not very busy at the moment, but anything I'm asked to do, even if it's oh, do you know that thing you said you do? I'm like, oh Jesus, get off my fucking back for a second.
Yeah.
And it's this is what you need to do to earn a living, but also why can't we just do the pod as a real time full job? And
so that's our cue to saying, please fund our habit of making us not have to do any work and get on the Patreon.
By the way, did you know we have a Patreon? Yeah, exactly.
That's our segue in. Sorry.
Not so subtle.
I'm a bit worried that this isn't recording your bit because you're not going up on mine. Am I going up on yours?
Yeah. Talk again.
Hello.
No, you're not coming up on my little level.
Okay, perfect. All right, it must just be something.
So maybe we're equals. It's fine. Yeah.
All right, fair enough then. So have you? So I saw it was quite funny. We went to go cinema on Saturday, and we recorded this probably 3 weeks ago. Since when you're hearing this live now, and you might remember we had one glorious sunny weekend. And like Jack said, we don't normally get good Saturdays. It's usually really sunny in the week, and then the weekend comes, it's fucking grim. But we had a proper hot weekend, and you and our mate Josh were meant to go watch Planet of the Apes in the cinema, and I was buzzing because I love those little monkey men, and I was really excited for it. But I think we got this. Our viewing was at 11:30, maybe, or maybe 12, and we got
we got there a bit early, didn't we?
Yeah, and you boys got there before me because you went straight to the Hollywood Bowl bar, which is the worst bar in the world.
It's awful. Yeah,
it's so
bad. For anyone who is familiar with the Bay, there used to be an actual pub down there called the Bay Tavern.
And we loved it. It was shit, but we liked it.
Well, it was like our little shithole in the corner, you know. And then, even though every single time we went there, we'd moan and go, "Oh my god, this bar's shit in it. It's so bad, shit service, shit beer." And then when it closed down, we were like, "What? You can't do that to us. What? We were going to drink after the cinema now."
Yeah, and so we always do a debrief pint, don't we? No matter what we go, whatever we do, if we go to the cinema, we always got to stop for a beer afterwards to discuss it.
Yeah, just talk it out. Yeah. But now, the only option really is the Hollywood Bowl bar. So then we were like, "Oh, we're a bit early. Should we have a pint to start?" And then I saw your little face, and as you came in, and it was like, "We got you one." It was like we had half a beer, and you were like, "Should we just fuck off the cinema and go down the pub in the sun?" And it was like,
and I just
didn't take a lot of suggesting.
And we both had a heavy night the night before, and I was like, you bought me a Carling, and it went down just neck to. It was so easy, and I thought,
you guzzled it, mate. It was great.
Yeah, but also whilst we were there, There was a kids' party opposite us in the same, like because the Hollywood
Oh,
Bowl
yeah.
spills over to the pub. It was just a table full of kids singing Pembroke's Happy and Happy Birthday. And we were
Yeah.
sat there all drinking pints at like 11:30 in the morning. It was such a grim atmosphere in
I'm
there.
pretty sure we were looking at each other being like, oh, do they fucking have to as well?
I
Like,
know.
this is ridiculous.
But-
As if like we're in their space, we're in a fucking
Yeah.
bowling alley,
Yeah.
essentially just happens to have a bar next to it.
But then we did we sacked off the monkeys and went straight out. And we were in the
Oh, yeah.
sun for ages having glorious beers, weren't we?
Oh, I know this makes you sound like a fucking old man, but I was so tired when I got home because
Yeah,
I'd had too much sun. You know,
Yeah.
I got
I
too
think
much
that's
sun.
why I'm down, because I had such a good weekend. Like, it was just so nice to
Yeah.
just be in the sun, catch up with you. Like, I cooked loads of nice food, and it was just like, oh, this is what life should be. Shouldn't be fucking writing social
No,
media campaigns.
the fact that we're fucking 5 days of having to earn something and we get 2 days of that, it should be the opposite of anything.
Well, do you know, like, we should probably do the history of workers' rights, because, like, you know, the Newport Charters and all those stuff, like, you know, demanding better work rights and stuff like that. We would have suffered so much. I mean, you hate doing any sort of work, but like, imagine doing 7 days a week, no rest days.
Could not have lived in that world. I don't think. I
No.
was not made for such hardship.
No.
I'm not even made for this. I'm a soft Sally, man. Like if it was up to me, I would have go back in time.
I would have go back.
I would have go back in time.
And I'd have to go back, and I'm not having a minute of this. It's shit.
And I would have, whoever made the fucking, I don't know, the credit score or something, had probably killed him. And then just gone, look, lads, why don't we all just like brew fruit beer in our caves and just pick berries all day and just sit in the sun? That'd be good, wouldn't it? That'd be my sort of life. Go back to the Neolithic lifestyle.
Well, yeah, as long as I don't have to pick the berries, I can just fight the saber.
Yeah. To be fair, you raise a good point. If that was happening, they'd be like, "It's your shift to pick the berries." So I'd be like, "Oh my god, this is like 2 days a week. I got to do this. It's a joke."
Yeah, this is boring.
What I wouldn't go to do a do back in time and just stop the berries from going.
I wish I was at like Mole that survived the the meteorites that killed off the dinosaurs that we come from. You know, that little like rat thing. I wish I was that rat thing.
It never ends, though, because then it'd be
it never
reproduce to evolve the mammalian species of I. This is a joke.
I'm gonna get a quick beer, by the way, because I just gone through this first pint like nobody's beeswax. Do you want to shout out Keddy? Oh no, well actually, 1 second. Yeah, you entertain the masses for less than 5 seconds as I go to the fridge.
Oh, Christ! And you
Pressure,
think I can do that?
Pressure.
Fucking 5 seconds of it. I can't. This is gonna be. You're gonna come back, and I'm gonna tell you how quiet it is because, yeah, I can't do it. You're my crutch. That's the thing. And yeah, you're just hearing Frank's fiddle about in the fridge now. Sorry, guys. I am not a one-man show.
How much did you flander?
Oh, I can't wait for you to hear that back on the edit. You're gonna just realise how dismal I am on my own. Once you're gone, I have no crutch to lean on.
What did you go for? Oh, well, I'll listen to it in the edit. I won't make everyone hear it again.
Yeah, don't make them go through it twice, for God's sake. As you said before you left, though, we do need to shout out our lovely Taylor member, a fellow producer of the pod, one of our newest members, Cadwyn Griffiths. I can't think of a funny pun yet. But
you got it wrong
because
we've already done Cadwyn. Because
why haven't you bloody updated the fucking spreadsheet then?
Do you remember our great banter was what Cadwyn? Like he has a white car.
Oh yeah, I do. I can't believe I forgot it.
It was so memorable. No, we got a lot of heat to add to Kerry Heaton.
Kerry Heaton, bringing the heat.
Bringing the heat
the boys.
with big C and the heat on.
Yeah, and we're not talking about Karen. Your time has come and gone.
Sorry,
You're gone
Karen.
now. Kerry Heaton, though, the boys bring the noise. Kerry Heaton bringing the heat down on the podcast. I'm going to use that again and again and again.
He's keeping,
as I've just done.
Kerry, they're keeping the lights on and the heat on. Kerry Heaton.
Nice. The heat, yeah.
Yeah. Go back to Cadwyn. We need to go back to Cadwyn.
No, we've got to go back to Cadwyn. No, Kerry Heaton puts the meat in the setons of the pod. That's quite poor.
Probably works better written down.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, yeah. What else can we give for Kerry? Kerry with an I. So you're not always sure if that's a boy's name or a girl's name. I'm going to say boy's name, just judging on our.
Kerry. Hang on. Let me do some sleuthing.
Yeah.
I got a Patreon up here.
Oh
Sometimes they have
yeah.
little profile pics. Not everybody. Oh, you're a real offensive piece of shit, mate. Because it is a woman by the looks of things.
Well, I
So
mean,
you're
you could be
horrible.
even more offensive now if Kerry turns out not to be a woman.
Oh God, maybe we're all maybe we won't have Kerry here next month. I don't know, but I was going to say with Kerry supporting the pod, I
Hang on.
feel very merry. How was that?
Kerry with an I believe, is because I used to work with a Kerry with an I who was a guy, but he used to tell me that Kerry with an I is usually the female spelling. So, well, should we just be very 21st century and say they, and we'll forgive for the pronouns, so then we can't get told off either way. So we'll
But
say,
is that what I was going to say?
have I
Is that
just
We might
misgendering
cut this, but
someone?
are we misgendering someone, but in a very,
Okay.
like, is the equivalent of like positive discrimination? Is what we've just done.
I think we should keep this in to show how much we flounder over the smallest fucking thing.
The
I'm
details. I'm
sure.
sure Kerry wouldn't have given a shit, but yeah, here we go.
But we have absolutely flustered. Going, oh God, we've just wrong named someone. We've
Why
just
did we go more? I was
misgendered.
going to say Kerry. I'm getting Mary to
Yeah.
a podcast that Kerry has produced. That would have been all right.
It could have
Lame,
been all
but
right,
all
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, but you love your little rhymes, don't you? You're obsessed with rhymes.
I'm a poet by art, mate. It's my Welsh blood.
Kerry has turned the heat up on us with our absolute floundering here. So we'll see how much of this gets
I am
kept
sweating
in.
a bit. I'm sweating a bit, right? Waiting to get cancelled.
We're like some really namby-pamby, like NIMBY BBC producers who are absolutely terrified of calling someone the wrong name.
Oh, have you seen like that? It does the rounds every now and again. It's like a video of, and they're like the most like progressively left people in this like convention together, but they can't get a fucking thing done because every time someone tries to say something, like the keynote speaker's saying something, and someone puts their hand up, it's like. Excuse me, can we stop clapping, please? Because some of us are sensitive to auditory bloody stimulus. So, like they say, we got to do like the rubbing the fingers, and then someone else is going, "Can you not call me sir or madam? It's comrade and all this." And they just don't. They can't get a word out. That's us.
Yeah,
That's what we've become.
I'm not of the school. It's like, oh, you can't say anything these days because, of course, you can. I mean, look at the biggest comedians. Ricky Gervais does trans jokes all the time, and Jimmy Carr does offensive jokes. Of course, you can say whatever you like, and you get paid for it. It's not. I don't believe in any of that, but I do think sometimes people panic over. I panic over everything as if anybody gives a shit. Like no one cares, do they?
Now we've got such a broad audience. You know what I mean? Now we can be cancelled. We fear being cancelled.
Yeah, what are they going to do? Send me back to my normal job? I got nothing to lose.
Which I hate. Which I absolutely hate.
True, yeah, but I'm still doing it anyway. Maybe we tidy up this intro because it's a bit messy, but we'll see. Should we?
So lazy we're feeling in the edit process.
Yeah, probably quite lazy. This is also another. Well, I think this sets the tone. Maybe the intro does for what this episode's going to be like.
Again, the title's there, isn't it? You know, we say the title's always a dead giveaway. It's a spoiler.
Yeah, but maybe they think we're more prepared than we are for this, or we have something more interesting to say.
Yes. Yeah, no.
Yeah, but let me think of a segue. Segue, sort of like a game.
if you're being tenuous, yeah.
I think the guy who invented the Segway died on a Segway. I think that's true.
Massive endorsement of his creation.
Yeah, I think that's true.
I wouldn't use a Segway. I don't think I have the balance or because you got to like lean forward. It's like a trust exercise every time you move, isn't it? It's silly.
Yeah, well, the millionaire owner of the Segway company fell off the cliff riding one of his own Segways.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so Dean Kamen, poor bugger. Or maybe that was his name. No, sorry, his name wasn't that. It was Jimmy Hesselden. Yeah, he died in 2010 from injuries sustained falling off a cliff riding his own Segway.
Rough.
Yeah, soz.
That was rough, yeah. Downward turn.
Well, anyway, that's enough talk about death before sometimes in. Oh, I bet you. Hang on, I've got it. I bet you the owner of the Segway wish he could restart his save so he didn't fall off a cliff and die.
Ah, that's good. Yeah, wish
So, so
he bet he wish he saved Scummed before he went on that
yeah.
adventure, didn't he?
So, so these are very nerdy gaming terms, and maybe this is an episode for everyone. But I think you'll learn some stuff about Wales in gaming and the rise of Welsh figures in gaming. But me and Jack do love a bit of the old Xbox and PS5 and all that
Yeah.
malarkey.
I thought you were going to say that when you went, you might learn something. You were about when you said Wales in games. I was like, oh yeah, that's true. I thought you were going to say, but stick around if you're not a gamer because you might fucking learn something. All right, you might discover a medium of art that actually is real.
The last true art form, gaming. Um,
Mm.
so it's not clear. We're going to go through the rise of Welsh representation in gaming, and this might sound a little bit niche, but I think it'll be interesting for people who aren't even interested in games, just to see that Wales has become more culturally important. And for like the majority of gaming history, Wales has had zero representation, pretty much. And
Yeah.
it's not to say that we are now the basis of loads of games, but it is considerable. Like Wales have been mentioned in some of the biggest games of the last 20 years,
Mm.
and in games that have won the best awards, and a lot of it's primarily based around some Welsh references and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, and like we do always talk about, we're film buffs. We talk about films. We talk about how Wales is permeating in media a lot lately. It's on the up and up, and we would be remiss if we didn't mention the fact that because games, if you talk about thinking about how long films have been around and then how long games have been around, the amount of time it's taken for Wales to get into games is relatively less. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, it's a good
Like
point. Also,
even though we were never around to begin with in
yeah,
there, but we sort of we've all of a sudden, isn't it? It does feel to me at least in the last like few years we have a lot more
definitely.
representation.
And I love the use of remiss and permeate there. That was two great
Mm.
uses. And also, we're not the only people thinking this, because in our research, I saw a few other articles talk about the rise of Welsh culture in video games. So,
I
yeah, we
saw I
felt like
saw a website. I don't know if you found this as well. It was just literally called like Wales in Games. Like
it.
fair play to the person who's just made that.
Yeah.
That made my research very
Yeah.
easy.
It's a
So
very strong USP, the unique selling point there. Um,
yeah.
so, yeah, I'll start then. And none of these, I'm not going to go into things too much detail because that might be
Mm.
a little bit dry. But I thought we'd like touch on some of the big games recently that have a Welsh hint to them. So there's one game in particular called Elden Ring, and it won Game of the Year a couple of years ago back, which is like the BAFTAs of gaming. They
Oh
have
yeah.
this big award ceremony every year, and it's the coveted prize to win Game of the Year.
Mm.
And Elden Ring won that, but it's also kind of regarded as one of the best games ever, and it's up in the echelons of gaming.
Well, it was huge, wasn't it? Massive
Yeah,
time when it came out, and I think anyone who even is like a part-time gamer listening to this will know of Elden Ring. But for
yeah,
those who don't, it would be understating it to say that it's like an okay game. It's fucking
yeah.
huge. Like it sold
It,
huge amount of copies.
it's made by a Japanese company, and it's like it's renowned. It's part of a series called like Dark Souls, and they're renowned for being like extremely difficult and really unforgiving, and like
Mm.
a part of the charm is how much work you have to put into them, and then the reward is huge when you complete it. And it's quite mystical. It's dark. It's gloomy. It's gothic and scary, it's part of this wider series called Dark Souls, which is uh, all of them are quite gothic, and
It's
they're all the
it's
famous
unusual,
for.
isn't it? How I always found with the Dark Souls games, Elden Ring included, is there's no hand holding in it.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah,
like sort of there is a narrative, but the narrative is almost you got to work for it yourself. There's no
exactly.
the cutscenes will happen every now and then with bosses and stuff, but if you are not paying attention or not like following the lore of the game, you probably wouldn't have a clue what was going on.
No, and I actually watched the series. So lots of people play these games and stream them, and because they're so difficult, they get a big following because it's like really frustrating, and it's like you have big peaks and troughs. Like when you win something, you feel
Mm.
great. And there's an amazing series called Retry with a Welsh presenter called Gav Murphy, who does a YouTube series with his two best mates, and they used to work for this massive gaming company called IGN, who are like a game journalists, and they just
Yeah.
play through the entire game. And it's like, so far they're like 40 hours in, and they're only about halfway through. But
Did you say
even
there's
in it,
like one of the guys in there is like a lore
just
master
yeah, he
of
just
like
tells you about
the
what's going
game?
on. And I played the game myself, and I don't know any of the story because I'm not like big at reading into stuff. But
Mm,
it's you just find it's a big open world, so there's no like structured narrative. But throughout
mm,
this world, you'll meet loads of characters there with Welsh accents, and some of the
mm,
main characters are called things like Blythe and Rana, and which are Welsh names. And one of the main characters, Blythe, he's a half man, half wolf, and Blythe in Welsh means wolf. And this is a game. Like loads of people in there have Welsh accents. They like even if they're peripheral characters or whatever.
yeah.
But lots of it is meant to be based on Celtic mythology and parts of the Mabinogion, which we've spoken about before.
Yeah, I just love that. I always love hearing stuff like a Japanese developer, who is under no sort of obligation to even touch on something like that. That they actually put an effort into it,
Well,
and they've
what
obviously done a bit of research.
what I think is really cool is George R. Martin was like one of the directors, the guy
Mm,
from Game of Thrones, and obviously he takes
that's
loads of
right.
Game
Yeah.
of Thrones history from UK history, and
Mm,
he got hired in to make it a bit more of a westernized game to appeal to a more Western audience, and it did. It massively appealed to a Western audience. This game specifically. But despite all this praise, when I was searching for like some more Welsh roots on it online, I did find some like classic dick comments. So like I said, like loads of the characters on there have like strong Welsh accents, and this little virgin on a forum message.
yeah.
The biggest issue with Elden Ring is the stupid preponderance of Welsh accents. I mean, Jesus Christ, I didn't pay 50 quid to tune into Gavin and Stacey. It's
Oh,
ludicrous.
Jesus
And then
Christ.
he said, in all seriousness, a ludicrously amazing game brought down percentage points due to every character sounded like Hugh Edwards. And I thought, oh, that hasn't aged well.
Christ. I was yeah. I wish he was a boss in it
Yeah.
from in that picture as well.
Yeah, that pants down pick.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit tongue in cheek. I think he's not. It's just people kicking off on it. I
You'd
don't
hope
think it's
so.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
In contrast, on Reddit, I saw loads of people say similar things to this. I heard a lot of the actors are Welsh and have Welsh accents. Something about the whole region is meant to represent things on Wales. That's so cool because Welsh people are obsessed when they are actually involved in something and even mentioned in something outside of the UK. And I think that's so true.
Mm.
When we're mentioned in
Yeah.
anything, we're like, fucking yes.
Mm.
I mean, we started a whole podcast around like Welsh
I was just about to
culture.
say we're doing a literal episode about any time a Welsh person pops up in a fucking video game.
Yeah, but it's so funny. Like me and Emma will be watching something, and I can hear. I'm so good at picking up when someone's Welsh. Like I
Mm.
haven't got a massively strong Welsh accent, but if it'll say if we're watching Come Down with Me, and I've only just walked into the room, within like probably 3 seconds,
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, she's from Newport. All right, she's from like Ammanford, all that.
Yeah.
I'm just picking up so quickly.
She's from that tiny village Narberth
Yeah,
in West Wales. Yeah.
I'm good. I'm more regional, so I'm like, oh, okay, you're. I'm just. It's probably my only instinctive gift that I have.
I think I do the same thing where it's like if someone's there, and even if it's like sometimes if they're not even doing a Welsh accent, they're trying to do an English or something like that, but they're a Welsh actor, then I can hear a twang. I'm like straight on my phone googling this person on IMDb, and as soon as I see something like born in Wales, I'm like, yes, I fucking knew it. I knew it.
Yeah, it is. I do feel huge pride for it. There was this quite popular tweet that in this series of games, there's one called Bloodborne, which is really, really dark and intense and
Mm.
really hard. And Elden Ring's a bit more accepting and it also looks really pretty. And so there's a popular tweet saying Elden Ring is about having a beautiful dream that you're Welsh, and Bloodborne is about waking up in England, which is sort of saying like one is cruel and punishing and difficult, and
Yeah.
Elden Ring is meant to be like really beautiful people, a whole
Mm.
nice thing, which is a very
That's good.
rose tinted glasses of looking at
Oh yeah.
Wales and England. But I think it was just it really permeated, as you said, loads of like the gaming community to be like, oh shit, this is a
Mm.
game about things in Wales or about some Welsh roots, and it
And like you said, it's that thing of the Welsh loving when they're a part of anything. You can
Yeah.
tell that that's resonated.
yeah, there's so many comments online about this and its
Mm.
Welsh connections. So yeah, I thought that'd just be a quick a quick overview of Elden Ring and its Welsh lore. Do you want to kick off on one of yours?
Yeah, so this is one that I certainly never heard of. I'd be surprised if you have heard of it, but do interrupt me if you have. So this is a game from 1999,
Hmm.
right? Called Kodelka, and it's a Japanese PS1 game, and it's actually set just outside Aberystwyth.
No way.
Yeah, it's set in a haunted monastery in a made-up place called Numiton or Nemiton, sorry.
Hmm.
And it's even says in the game that's just outside Aberystwyth. It follows a protagonists Codelca Lasant, Edward Plunkett, and Bishop James O'Flaherty.
Plunkett's
Uh,
a funny name.
Plunkett, yeah. But these all these three characters are meant to be Welsh, right?
Oh yeah.
But and I was thinking O'Flaherty, like that's not exactly traditional. Plunkett,
Hmm.
Codelca Lasant, not exactly traditional Welsh names, but I appreciate the effort. So
Hmm.
and what they meant to do in this game, that they uncover this Nemetans, this made up place's secrets by going into a monastery, and then they confront monsters and like find out the dark past and all this sort of stuff. So, like I said, all the characters in it are meant to be Welsh. They didn't bother getting Welsh voice actors in. They all have English accents, so that's a bit disappointing. But for a 1999 game on PS1,
Yeah.
the fact
Probably
that
one of the
Aberystwyth is
earliest
mentioned, I think, is oh
examples of
yeah,
Wales on game.
it's got to be. It's got to be. I tried to find out if that was definitively yes or no, but it must be, especially in like the 3D era. That
Yeah.
must have been
What
one
was
of
the
the other
game
ones.
called again?
It's called Kodelka. It's Koudelka, and so the guy who made it, Hiroki Kikuta. Anyone who is maybe a bit more of a game aficionado, they'll know Square Enix. You know the
Yeah.
developer.
Yeah.
He used to work for them. But because of the way the corporate structure was over there in Japan, he could never be a game director. So he decided to make his own company, and this was one of the first games they made. Um, and he wanted, I don't know why, I tried to look, I looked high and low for why he wanted this, but he wanted the game set somewhere across the sea from Ireland. And it was like, well, that only leaves a very sort of one part of a landmass. Um, and so him and a couple of colleagues, they travelled to Pembrokeshire to research and get like a feel for the land. And apparently they loved the kind of blustery coastal setting, and they loved that there was so many like ancient relics and ancient like buildings and things like that, like scattered around Wales. Um, and that's why they decided to set it. And they actually made a sequel to it as well, called Shadow Hearts, and that also takes place in Wales. And one of the locations you can go to in that is a place called the Rhondda Mine. So
Oh.
not exactly a huge amount of research gone into the name, I guess. But I mean, points for trying. I like they just went Rhondda. That's obviously where
Yeah.
mines are. Rhondda Mine, but still, I thought that was interesting that there was something in 1999. A Japanese developer just decided to set something in Aberystwyth, or essentially near Aberystwyth.
When I googled Kadelka, like you
Mm.
spelt it, and something comes up first is recon. You know what's that thing when the army go and recce something? What's the full word for that? Reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance,
Reconnaissance. Kadelka. The first thing comes up. Kadelka. Renaissance. Say it again.
reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance Wales. Yeah, it was apparently a. So I did a little look into it then, and it's a.
Look
Oh,
at
there we go. There was a Czech French photographer called Kadelka who took photos of whales in very dramatic looking senses in
Oh, no
1998.
way.
Yeah,
I missed that, but that's got to be a reference to the name then. But yeah, I just thought that's way earlier than I thought I'd ever find something to do with
yeah,
Wales, especially something
yeah,
like Aberystwyth.
yeah. Yeah, so that's two. That's a funny little coincidence of Kadelka. But yeah, like you said, it must be a little crossover. Uh, um, so my next one is Total War Britannia. Um,
Love it. One of the
and
all-time greats.
this is a game me and Jack would play for fucking hours whilst we get boozed up, and it's
Yeah.
and it's so Total Wars. You play as like the Romans versus the Gauls. They have like a series, and so that's like Rome Total War. You'd have a series where they fight in the Crusades. So you'd have like the English versus like some Muslim countries, and you'd be like it often follow historical battles in history, and this series has been going for like 25 years, maybe longer, and it's like the longest running and most popular computer game, as in like you play it on a laptop or an actual computer rather than like a games console, and it's huge. So the one me and Jack loved came out in 2006, and it was an expansion pack, which is like an additional to the main game. There's one called Total War Two, so Medieval Two, Total War Kingdoms, and there was an expansion called Britannia, and in that, um, you'd get to play between the English, the Scots, the Irish, the Vikings, and then the Welsh. And it had really good representation of Welsh things. So
It was great.
when you play the campaign, your lead at the time is Llewellyn and Llywolaf. So he's like our last native prince. You'd have specific Welsh characters like the Welsh longbowman, the Meirionydd spearman. You'd have like proper references to periods in history, and you'd build your money based on the like economy that you had. So you'd have like coal, gold, like sheep, forestry and stuff
It
like
was
that.
it was even brilliant of being like sort of somewhat historically accurate in that it was very hard if you were played as Wales to like accrue a navy of any kind, because that's what we were like in historical terms as well. It was very good. I remember, like, especially since doing this pod, the fact that you could have Welsh longbowmen and Meirionydd spearmen and stuff like that. That's such a lovely touch, you know.
Yeah. And this is like 20 years old, but it still stands the test. Like people still play it massively now. Like it's still got a huge fan
modded
base.
to madness as well. And like the mods you can get for it these days are insane.
And people like really cared about this game, so it's been going on for ages. One thing I would say is a shame is they never used Welsh accents, like you mentioned a second ago for that other game. In this, they have accents for the Irish, they have accents for the Scottish, the Vikings, and the English. Whenever their commanders speak, they have accents. With the Welsh, they just have the same pretty much as the English, which I thought was a real shame.
That's true. That's true. They come so far, and then just that little bit at the end.
Yeah. I thought that's another quick one to go through. But Wales is like probably one of the strongest representations of what Welsh history in any game.
Yeah, the dedication to like the detail in that is, like I said, apart from the actual lack of Welsh accent, that is that's one of the better ones, I think. Certainly one of the tops. My next one is a similar kind of game as well. Actually, is Civilization 5. Did you ever play any of those games?
No, I didn't. No.
I played a couple of them. I think I maybe played Civ 4. And for those who don't know, it's basically like an empire simulator, similar to medieval Total War, actually, but it's less. You have, well, the one I played anyway, it was less in depth. So in Civilization, the ones I played, you kind of you pick a faction. You start from like in some of them like the Stone Age, and you like your civilization then upgrades different technology levels and stuff like that, and you eventually get to like modern day, and it's it's all about the politics with the factions around you. And in Civilization 5, I haven't played that one, but apparently in Civilization 5 you could pick the Celtic faction, and you'd actually have Boudica was your leader.
Oh yeah. We've kind of said she's Welsh, shouldn't she? Even though she's not really.
Well, she was Celtic, so she was Iceni tribe. So that was like more like East England was where she was based, but she was more Welsh than she would have been. This was when the Celts were
Welsh. When Wales
they owned Britannia.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, that's the Celtic queen who revolted against the Romans in 60 AD. But she appears in this Civilization 5, and in this game, when you pick your leader, it's not like in medieval Total War where you have Llewellyn, say, to start. He can be killed in battle, for example, and then his successor will take the throne. In this, you have the same leader all the way through.
Oh, yeah.
So when you pick the Celtic faction, like I said, you research technology, improve your cities, you conquer or found new cities. You ally or war with neighboring factions, etc. And basically, whatever faction you choose, you keep that leader. For example, if you pick American, you can be like this, Stone Age American faction from the start. And if you pick American, you get George Washington. He's there with you all the way through. So what I liked in this one, when I was researching, like I said, I haven't played it, but Boudica's lines are actually spoken in Welsh in the game.
Oh, sick.
Which I thought was really good, because Civilization 5, let me just double check. It came out in
2010.
2010. So that's fairly recent. And that's pretty good for having some Welsh representation in it. And the reason they did that, I looked up, is because obviously Welsh is the closest living language to what the real
Yeah.
Boudica would have spoken. Um, Unfortunately, it does, from my research I did earlier, it unfortunately suffers from that same classic trap of like lumping all things Celtic into one.
Oh,
So, for
yeah.
example, like your special units you get, like we were praising medieval for having the main order, the spearmen and the Welsh longbowmen, they were very much Welsh units back in the day. In this game, your special units are Pictish warriors.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like
Scottish type, north of
if you want to be
England.
pedantic, the Pictish were very much separate from the Celts. They
Mm.
were a different kind of group of people. You also get like your special building. One of the special buildings you can get as that part of that faction is a Caelid Hall, which apparently is more Irish.
I was going to say, it sounds like an Irish
Um,
word.
yeah, and then like the capital city, your starting city you get as the Celts is Edinburgh, and it's like you're using the English word for a
Oh, yeah.
Scottish city, if you know what I mean,
Yeah.
um, or a Brittonic city. So, I mean, to be fair play for having
Yeah, well,
Welsh
maybe that's
spoken
showing
in the
that it's
game.
Celtish. Maybe it's in have the Welsh language. It's got
Closest to be,
Scottish
yeah,
things. It's incorporating more than one thing because they're
yeah.
not just
It's a
playing as the Welsh.
bit squiffy with the details, but I would
Yeah,
still give it points for like,
yeah. Or maybe it's just trying to capture them all in one. It's saying, hey,
yeah,
you're the
yeah.
Celts, and that means you're Irish, Scottish, and Welsh. And so we'll use the Welsh language. We'll say you're from Scotland, and you
That's a
have
good point. Actually, maybe it was.
yeah,
It could have been on purpose. Maybe just going. We'll do little piecemeal bits from each different kind of
yeah.
Celtic kingdom, and then that combine it into one. Yeah, maybe that's what they would go for. But yeah, so that was good. I like that they was that the Boudica leader in it spoke Welsh as well. That was good.
Um, my next one then is probably probably one of the more famous instances of a Welsh person in a game. In a really, it's mostly
Mm,
because this game became incredibly popular. So it's from the Assassin's Creed series,
of
which
course,
is
yeah.
where you play as an assassin throughout history,
Mm,
and they've been revered as being like quite historically accurate, and like they
mm,
go to great details to make the cities they replicate accurate and the history they're doing at the time quite accurate.
mm. They're very
And
good at weaving like their overall story around actual historical events, aren't they? I
yeah,
found that in through the series is very good.
so this one, there's the protagonist is someone called Edward Kenway, and
Mm,
this is in Assassin's Creed 4, the Black Flag one, which is a pirate based one. And as we discussed before, pirates were predominant. Well, there was a huge amount of Welsh pirates and famous Welsh pirates, um, and so they chose a Welsh person for it, and he's voiced by a Welsh actor called Matt Ryan. And
mm,
it was rewritten to Welsh following his casting, and then they did some research into more Welsh piracy, and they're like, "Oh shit, okay." So they explicitly say that he's a Welshman from Swansea in the game, and then they talk about his Cardiff upbringing. They
that's right.
discuss.
Yeah, it's a
So
good game. Really good game. That.
yeah, it's like renowned as being one of the best games at the time, and they sometimes there'll be a nod to a Welsh name or something, but he was specifically said at being from Wales, and it's like it's a massive
Mm.
studio, Ubisoft, who make the game, but like one of the biggest. Let me just check. It is Ubisoft who make that, isn't it?
Yeah, 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 it is.
Yeah,
And it's like you
yeah,
said, it's not just a oh, we'll throw in the Welsh thing as like throw a bone to the
yeah,
Welsh. They
yeah.
actually consider
They
it the story.
build
There's
up
like
character.
bits in the there's bits in the game where he's called English and he like goes back, claps back and says, "I'm not English, I'm fucking Welsh" type thing.
Yeah,
So it is like part of his character, which I,
character.
I really liked. Yeah.
And that was like often seen as some of the burgeoning point in gaming in Wales for it to be like, oh shit, this is one of the most popular games ever, and they made a
Mm,
point of making him a minority country in a in the UK. They've like
mm.
decided to actively make him not English, and it worked really well. Like people absolutely adore, like it's revered as one of the best games. Um, so that was just a quick one on him, and I thought we kind of got to
Oh, he's
mention at the game.
100%
Yeah,
worth mentioning. Yeah, you can't do
yeah,
a pod episode on
yeah.
Welsh people in games without
This is
mentioning
probably
him.
the most niche podcast in the world. Would you-
Yeah, the
do you,
marrying of two genres, definitely.
yeah. Do you want to go to your next one? I've only got one more after.
Yeah,
Oh, I've got two more after this, but one's a bit of a shit one.
same. That's exactly what I've got here. I've got
Yeah.
two, and one's a bit crap. I'll do my crap one first. Well, it's
Okay,
not crap.
cool.
It's interesting, but it's short. Did you know, for example, that the lead character in Red Dead Redemption 2, there is a theory that he's a Welshman.
Oh, yeah, I think Arthur Morgan.
Yeah, so I never really picked up on this when I played it, and I've played many, many an hour of Red
Oh,
Dead
it's
2.
my favorite
Um,
game.
It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. For those who don't know, it's like a cowboy game, and it's just one of the most detailed and like sort of
Cinematic.
yeah, it's fantastic. It's very good.
Again, it won
If you
like
got like a
loads of awards.
yeah, if you got like a cowboy fancy, if you're into cowboys and westerns and stuff like that, play that game. You'll be on like a power trip, being a little
I
gunslinger.
mean,
It's
if you
amazing.
know gaming, you'll know that game. But it's made by the same people who made
Mm,
Grand Theft Auto, but they
yeah,
spent years on it. I think it's made by the company. So it's what's his name? What's the company who makes that game?
Rockstar.
Rockstar, and I think it's their Edinburgh um office that did a lot of it. And they they do into so much detail. So when you ride your horse in a colder weather, the horse's testicles shrink to go smaller, and they go
Yeah,
to that much detail. Like when you hit a stone at the top of the mountain, if you go to the bottom of the mountain, you'll see that same stone that has knocked other stones with it along the way to like take it all
it's just
down. It's like,
incredibly detailed, isn't it?
yeah,
It's
and
ridiculous.
they fill the world with like loads of mad characters and stuff, and which I'll talk about in a second. I'll let you finish yours, and then I'll
Well, and
jump
even
in.
like animals, like apparently, this is a fairly recent thing I learned was like animals have their own like set, like
World,
paths and like their own, they react to the world and things like that. It's just incredible. But yeah, basically the main character's name is Arthur Morgan. So both his first and last name are Welsh in origin. There's apparently a point in the game. I don't know if I just skimmed over this or I didn't see it, but someone addresses him as an Englishman,
yeah.
and he says, "My family weren't even English" or something like that. And also his horse, before the events that happen in Red Dead 2, so right at the start, is Boudicca is the
Oh,
name of his horse, which is another word for Boudica or Biddig in Welsh. And there's also another horse belonging to the character Josiah Relani?
yeah.
Josiah Relani? And that his horse, his name's Gwydion. So
Oh,
there's a
yeah.
few
Yeah.
references to Welsh things in there, and yeah, it is a theory. It's not been like officially stated, but there's like all the little sleuths on the internet have
Well, the guy who
suggested
plays
that he
him,
might be descending from Welsh.
the actor who plays him, Roger Clark, he said that Arthur's of Welsh descent. Um,
Mm.
um, and it's yeah, there's I'm such a nerd that when I play that game, I name my horses Welsh in it. So I got one called like
Yes,
Gwyllt.
I did the same.
I got one
Yeah,
called Gwyllt, and I can't remember what I named the other ones, but
I had a massive horse that I nicked from someone and it became mine after mine died. And he was a
yeah.
big black horse. I called him Barty V.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I might call one like yeah, whatever it is, it's proper nerdy, but I always name them that. But my last fun one is on Red Dead Redemption as well.
Ah.
There's a character. So, like I said, the whole world has like hundreds of characters who you might miss. They'll just be going about their daily lives, and they've written a
Mm.
script. They've written like hundreds of hours of script that you might never hear, and they talk to themselves. They have their own worlds, and one of the missions at the end of the game where you're a different character. There's a character called Alwyn Lloyd, and his nickname is
Oh
Welsh.
yeah.
And he's a small time crook, and he's characterized for being like unkempt, aggressive, and witless. And I read up on him. You meet him when the character in the game meets two other crooks. One's nicknamed Irish, the other's nicknamed French, and they all met when they were on their way to America. And they're described as being like thick as thieves. And they're these three scoundrels who are like up to no good. And you first meet Welsh when him and French are in the middle of torturing Irish by holding him face down in the water in a water trough, and they accuse Irish of stealing and selling off their horses and from their last theft. So they all did a big like robbery, and the
Yeah.
horses and all the loot was taken, and they believe that Irish did it, and they're demanding retribution. And Irish claims he's innocent, and that French set him up by taking advantage of Welsh. So this is a quote. So Irish said that the French took advantage of the Welsh's tiny and ineffective mind, and the
Brilliant.
trio were interrupted by the protagonist, who's there to meet Irish to buy some weapons to attack a fort, and the Welsh guy has a knife in his hand, and they rush to try and kill him. And you've got to fight and shoot the Welsh guy, but
Mm.
I didn't want to do it when I was doing it. I was like, oh no.
Oh. Is
Um,
that
oh, sorry, I think I
oh,
said that was in Red Dead 2, but it's actually in Red Dead 1. So this is in the first game, not in the second one, but it's
yeah.
yeah. And he says things like, "Who do you think you are, boy? Oh, the bloody cavalry!" And he gives it a lot of the old Welsh. You know, who the fuck do you think you are, you pig? Coming out here
Amazing.
on your bloody horses? And
Yeah, that's about it.
yeah. And also, I just realised we've missed probably the biggest Welsh in a game, unless you're going to mention it. How did we forget this? In Assassin's Creed Valhalla, do you have that on yours?
No, no. Oh, I thought you'd have that on yours. Are you on about the Mary Lloyd?
Oh, well, loads of stuff. Uh,
There's a few
well,
things in that, isn't there?
well, there's a whole chapter. How did we forget to add that? There was
If
a
I'm honest, mate, I was like, you'll definitely go for that because like you love bloody Valhalla. So I
yeah.
was like, I like to skirt around it. But
There's an
yeah, that well, we might as well do a little segment on that now.
yeah. So there's a like we mentioned a minute ago, Assassin's Creed. It's the historical action game where you play as
Mm,
assassins throughout history, and they have a new one, a relatively new one called Valhalla, where you go from Norway and you invade, or you come into England or to Britain,
mm.
sorry, to do a series of different stuff, like assassinate and take over, and you build a camp and you spread out and you trying to attack Wessex and Alfred the Great. But
Say it's in
throughout it,
your like favorite sort of segment of history, isn't it? With
yeah, my like
the
dream
Saxons
segment.
and or the
Yeah.
Anglo Saxons.
And unlike the other ones where you're an assassin, this one you're just like a Viking and you can just be pretty brutal and go all out. But it has so much fucking Welsh references in it.
Mm.
You you meet the Mary Lloyd. You attack a Welsh
You
kingdom.
dress as the Mary Lloyd at one point, don't you? It's meant to be you're there on Calan Gaeaf or Halloween,
Halloween, yeah,
and they make. I mean, they got that wrong in that the Mary Lloyd is meant to be around New Year, but still,
yeah.
it's decent. You actually get the mask, like the horse's head,
Y-
um, and it was so cool. I thought, see, I was gutted you can't keep the
The
mask
mask,
afterwards because
yeah.
I'd be wearing that all the time.
Well, one of the big story beats of the game is you go and attack Wales, and
Mm,
you whilst you're there, you meet Rodri Vawd, Rodri the Great, who's one of the
mm,
first people to unite all of Wales, and you have to fight him, and he has this like giant dragon, like fire breathing metallic weapon that he uses to try and defend his castle and stuff, and you have to fight Welsh people, and they call you like a moch, cach a moch, and
that's
like
it. Yeah,
what do they,
Cachamore.
yeah, like pig
Pig
shit.
shit or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you have to like fight them all, and they're all speaking Welsh, and they have loads of Welsh dialogue in it, and it's like,
Me and you said, didn't we, when we were playing it? It was like, "Oh, have you got to the Welsh bit?" Yeah, yeah. And it was like, I almost wanted to refuse to fight them because I was like, I
yeah,
can't kill my countrymen.
yeah, and they kind of take a little bit of liberty of where the world's set, so they have uh, like Oxford or like England relatively close to like the border. So Oxford, like London, relatively close to where the border is, so you can ride there in a day. But
Mm,
it's like proper. They really make an effort to show you that England isn't Wales isn't a part of England. They have the Scots in the north, they have the Picts up
yeah,
there, and then they have Wales, and then you have loads of Welsh characters. The Rodri the Great, so Rodri Vawr chapter is like a whole like act of it for like
whole
good couple
segment
of
in it. Yeah,
hours. Yeah,
it's good that because in the not to spoil it, but there's like it's more that there's one of the guys in your kind of cohort that's having a real beef with Rodri, who's been at it for years, type thing, and you just kind
yeah,
of jump into it. But it is really good, like you said, of it isn't just right. We're in England now,
yeah,
It makes loads of reference to the Welsh, Scots. It's great. It's
yeah.
very good representation. To be fair, even if they don't get everything 100% right all the time, it's to see something in such a big modern game was really good.
Yeah, and I can't believe I forgot about that one. So yeah, that was
Mm,
just a bit sloppy explaining it, but that was just a bit off the cuff because yeah, I can't believe that was. I even when I googled it, that didn't come up at all
that's
for
mad.
me.
I assumed you'd have that in there because I was like, you're a big Valhalla fan. I
Yeah,
was like, he'll definitely go for that one, which is why I sort of skated around. But yeah, we'd as I said before, we'd be remiss not to
yeah.
mention that. Yeah. So my last one is a relatively new game. It's called The Maid of Scare from 2020, and I'd never heard of this one, but apparently it's had over 1 million downloads, so pretty big time game.
Mm.
Especially because it's made by a Welsh developer called Wales Interactive. I'd never even heard of these guys.
I think
They've
I
got a
might
few
have.
like sort of I say mega hits. They're not, they're no Fortnite or anything like that in
Did they
terms
make
of
that
the
vampire
downloads.
game?
No, one's that? I
Vampire
think
with
they
a
do
Y.
have. Oh no, I don't think so. They've got like they do like they do films as well. They're like interactive films, kind
Oh
of
yeah,
like the
yeah,
Netflix did that Bandersnatch or whatever it was.
yeah,
And they do things like that, and they do a couple of games. And this one, like I said, it's not so much a character, but it's the whole idea of the game is based on a Welsh legend called y Ferch o Sker, or the Maid of Sker. It's a tale about this woman named Elizabeth Williams, who's a young woman who falls in love with a harpist named Thomas Evans. Her father refuses to let her get involved with the strappy young harpist and locks her in their massive mansion, where she dies, still pining for her lover. So the game tweaks this story a bit and adapts it and makes it a bit more spooky. And the game is like a first-person survival horror. And you don't have any weapons or anything like that, but you have like this sound device that can drive some enemies away or something. And the whole point is you're meant to use like stealth and like your wits to survive. I had a quick look on like a gameplay video and stuff. It looks very gothic, but something that interests me the most about it is that they developed their own like creepy horror versions of Welsh songs. So they remade Calon Lan, Siogan, and Ar Hyd y Nos. And I listened to them, and they do sound pretty cool. Like they've just made them kind of creepy for like an atmospheric horror. But I always thought that was quite cool.
Yeah.
And this Wales Interactive, I was looking through a lot of it. Excuse me, and a lot of their games and films and stuff are like inspired by Welsh things. And I looked on Steam at all their game descriptions, and they always mention how things are inspired by Welsh mythology, Welsh legends, Welsh whatever. So they seem to be like a bit of a force for driving Welsh games forward, you know.
Well, I played one of the games before called Coffin Dodgers, which is like a
Right.
it's a bit like Mario Kart racing, but you're trying to run away from death, and you're all like these old people and things, and it was a shit.
Oh, is that from Wales Interactive? You mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. So not a glowing endorsement of that one.
No, but that was like it was a really cheap indie game, and it was like free on Xbox, and it was. It wasn't
Like
the
a
best.
dirt cheap Mario Kart. Well,
Yeah.
there we are.
Yeah.
Well, fuck you then, Wales Interactive, for trying.
Yeah, I don't know how much. Yeah, it does seem like one of their cheaper games. 'Cause I looked on their website now, and their other games look a bit more in depth and got a bit more meat
Yeah,
to
the
them.
gameplay ones I looked at looked like they had decent graphics. To be fair, so
Yeah.
maybe that was one of their first, just to get a foot in the door. Who knows?
Yeah. It looks. If you Google Coffin Dodgers and look at the game and stuff, it looks fucking. Yeah, it looks mad.
Shite.
Yeah. My last one then. Is this? Have you done your last one?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've got everything done. Yeah, that's all mine.
So my last one is came out really recently. So like this is like a day old in our timeline. But obviously when you hear this, it'll be a couple of weeks old. That Wales is the first country in the UK to join the metaverse, which is Zuckerberg's virtual reality world. So the Welsh government and Visit Wales have come together to promote the nation through the metaverse, which offers opportunities to experience Wales in virtual reality, which sounds awful.
Yeah.
So and through the metaverse, you'll be able to like go to experience culture and heritage from Wales, like Big Pit stuff, this Puffin Island, the mountain ranges.
I've just looked up
castles.
some images of it now.
Yeah.
I appreciate the sentiment, but
mate,
Christ.
Yeah. It looks fucking like it's run on Windows 97. It looks so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks bad.
Nothing about it. Why? I don't know why you would do this, and it's obviously quite a cheap thing to like an easy, quick promotion thing. But I just think it looks cheaper than any.
This thing I've seen, it's like it's an island with a Welsh dragon on it. The chunkiest Welsh dragon I've ever seen. He's absolutely got some timber on him.
And it's not really a game as such. It's kind of just like a walking around place, but it's like something you'd get in a museum in the 90s. It feels like so. I don't know. It's not what games are for.
I find sometimes with like like Welsh government initiatives and stuff like that they have the best intentions, but the execution is often like you're missing the point of like let's get in the metaverse. If you're going to go with the metaverse, it's got to be something cool, surely. Even though I don't even think the metaverse is regarded as very cool.
No, the metaverse sucks. So people who don't know, it's like that thing Zuckerberg's made where he's trying to like you want to live your life in the metaverse, so you'd have bars there, you go to chill out with your mates.
It's like VR Habbo Hotel.
Yeah. But like you can, if you're having Teams meetings, you have these headsets on, you can all look around in a virtual room. It's pointless. It's also hemorrhaging losses. Like they're losing. It's like hemorrhaging money. they're like, it's done really badly, and no one wants to sign up to it because it's garbage. So I'm
Apart from
assuming,
Welsh government.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it looks garbage, and I assume it pretty much is. It's not
So
going to take the world by
we're ending
storm.
it on a slam of our government's choices.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So it's a slightly different episode this week.
Yeah, mix it up.
And if it's an hour long, and I reckon it'll probably be 40 minutes in the cut because I don't know, I felt a bit all over
I
the
can't
top.
wait to see the stats of how long people have listened to this one. It's going to be like 4 minutes in and go, nah, fuck this.
Not for me. I don't know. I just feel a bit off with it tonight. So I don't think we hit our stride in a smooth way. So sorry if it wasn't our best.
Any gamers will love it. If you're not a gamer, you probably don't give a shit. But there we are.
Yeah. All right then. Well, we'll catch you next week.
On that bleak note. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da.
Bye.
Bye.